Welcome to Branching Out, a collection of videos intended to help you expand your genealogy research with online resources. Branching Out is part of the Library at Home series presented by the Carlsbad City Library. In this episode, we'll go over the advantages of searching with wildcards in Ancestry Library Edition. Wildcards are used in searches to represent unknown letters in a word. There are two wildcards genealogists can use to expand their search results in the Ancestry database, the asterisk and the question mark. The asterisk can replace 0 to many letters, while the question mark replaces one letter. Wildcards are a valuable tool in using online databases like Ancestry Library Edition because they allow you to accommodate for variations in spelling. Some reasons names and words are spelled differently in the records we use in genealogy are the lack of actual spelling rules before the 18th century, and the fact that names really can be spelled in any way. Names and words were spelled phonetically in documents. Nicknames could have been used. The ancestor may not have been literate. In most cases, the record was created by another person, a clerk, a clergyman, or a census enumerator. Finally, there may be indexing errors. These are, after all, handwritten records, in some cases very old, that are being transcribed by modern-day humans. Genealogy staff at the Carlsbad City Library use wildcards all the time when we're searching Ancestry Library Edition to accommodate for spelling variations in names, even in names that you may not think would have many spelling variations. So from Smith all the way to Smith-Rovich, wildcards make your searches more efficient as they save you from having to consider every possible spelling variation for a name and then searching all those variations. According to Ancestry Library Edition, there are a few rules for wildcard searching. When searching with wildcards, at least the first or last character cannot be a wildcard, and all searches containing wildcards must contain at least 3 non-wildcard letters. Using wildcards is sometimes referred to as a fuzzy search, as it loosens the parameters or widens the focus of a search. Genealogy staff at the library have found that if we break these rules, we'll still get results, but those results tend to be quite fuzzy, yielding pages and pages of records to review. So for better results, we recommend keeping these 2 rules, or guidelines, in mind. Wildcards can be especially helpful when we're looking for our immigrant ancestors in Ancestry Library Edition. Oscar Reinholdson was born in 1871 in Sweden. His parents, he is son of Reinhold, they spelled his name this way at birth, and this is the way he spelled his name on his naturalization papers. But how do you think a census enumerator might have spelled his name? Let's try finding Oscar in the federal census and experiment with using the asterisk wildcard. In Ancestry Library Edition, I'm going to go to Search and then Census and Voter Lists, and I'm going to enter his name just as it appeared in his naturalization documents. Oscar lived in Colorado, so I'm going to go ahead and choose that in the lived in search well, and I'm going to narrow it to the country of the United States just because I don't want to bring up a lot of Swedish records. Click search, and we get 4 results, but you'll notice they are not for any Oscar living in Colorado. So let's edit our search and let's try using that asterisk wildcard in his surname. Often it will be the vowels that give us trouble. So I'm going to replace that first I with an asterisk. Then I'm going to go ahead and that vowel sound in the second syllable, I'm going to replace that with a wildcard. And then the end of his surname, Reinholdson. Well, Scandinavian surnames often end with son for the males, but son could be spelled S-S-O-N, S-E-N, or S-O-N. So to accommodate for all those possibilities, I'm just going to finish his name with another asterisk. Let's go ahead and hit search. And here are our results. Oscar immigrated in 1896, so the earliest federal census we should see him in is 1900. Now, with his name spelled as it was at birth and in his naturalization records, we got 0 results. But by adding wildcards in the surname, the top 5 results are for our Oscar Reinhold. We have him here in the 1940 census, the 1930 census, the 1900 census, and then the 1920 and 1910 census. You'll notice that in the 1920 census, his first name here is Oshor. That's probably an indexing error. In the 1910 census, his first name is Ole. That's probably a nickname. Let's review our search strategy. In the case of Oscar Reinholdson, we use the asterisk wildcard in 3 locations within his surname. After adding the asterisk wildcard, Oscar came up in the top 5 results. If we look at the results in chronological order, we can see the different ways census enumerators spelled his name over the years. Looking at this list, I might conclude that it appears Oscar dropped the son suffix from his surname. This could prove to be a valuable clue in finding records beyond the census. Now let's practice using the question mark wildcard. In this case, I want to find records related to Francis O'Brien. In Ancestry Library Edition, I'll choose Search and All Categories to do a broad search across the entire Ancestry database. With a name like O'Brien, it might be spelled E-N or A-N. To get results with both spellings, I'm going to replace that last vowel with a question mark, which again replaces one letter. But what if there are records out there that don't use the apostrophe or put a space in between O and Brian? To get those variations, I'm going to throw in an asterisk. But let's not neglect the first name. We can use wildcards there as well. If we think of Francis, it could be spelled I-S or E-S, and if this is a man, he could go by Frank. To get all those variations, I'm going to replace everything after the N with an asterisk. Francis lived in Kendall County, Illinois. But like many of our ancestors, he may have moved around a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to not only search Kendall County, but adjacent counties. Additionally, because Francis O'Brien is a somewhat common name, I'm going to go ahead and throw in a birth year of 1849. And here are our results. On the first page, we have Francis O'Brien spelled with an I, no apostrophe, A-N in the 1870 census. Then in the 1880 census, the 1850 census, we have an entry from Find a Grave. Here it looks like he passed away in Kane County, Illinois. The 1860 census, then on to the 1920 census. He shows up in a death and stillbirths index. Then it looks like we have a little bit of noise. These are not our Francis O'Briens. But here he is again showing up in marriage records for Kane County, Illinois. Let's compile the results of this wildcard search to see the wide variation we were able to capture for our Francis O'Brien. We started by replacing the last vowel in O'Brien with the question wildcard, but upon further deliberation, added the asterisk wildcard to capture a wider number of spelling variations. Our first page of results in Ancestry found him in several censuses. I didn't show all the pages of results, but the second page picked him up in 1900 and 1910. In addition to census records, we also found marriage records, death records, and the third page of results picked up an appointment to postmaster in the adjacent Kane County. So while there was some noise in our results that were not relevant, it was still a rather successful combination of wildcards. Next time you use Ancestry Library Edition, try using wildcards to branch out and expand your search results. Remember, wildcards represent unknown letters in a word, and there are 2. The asterisk, which replaces 0 to many letters, and the question mark, which replaces 1 letter. And the good news is, these wildcards work in all the library's genealogy databases. In addition to Ancestry Library Edition, you can use the asterisk and question mark wildcards while searching America's Genealogy Bank, American Ancestors, Fold 3, Heritage Quest, Newspapers.com Library Edition, and finally, the asterisk can also be used in Archives Unbound. Thank you for watching this episode of Branching Out, brought to you by the Carlsbad City Library. If you have any questions about using wildcards or genealogy research in general, please send us an email at genealogy@carlsbadca.gov.